Well, it's finally here, the headline that every single counterculturalist has been dying to finally see, the kind of thing that creates channels. An unsubstantiated rumor, at least as far as I'm aware, has been revealed, claiming that they have found the perfect actress to play Zelda in the upcoming live-action movie. And to be clear, Zelda, not Link, not the green-suited main character guy, but instead Zelda, the iconic feminine woman. Who are they eyeing to play her? Well, it's none other than Hunter Schafer. And while I'd like my Zelda to wield the Master Sword or have her own spirit flute, I'd rather it not be attached below the waist. If this story is even remotely true, or if Hunter Schafer is even being remotely eyed for the role, then oh my god, this is career making. This is the kind of thing that every single person dreamed of, and holy Christ, I beg to God that they do it. Now, I know that the studio people listed for this movie aren't exactly the most game-savvy individuals, nor do they have anything of value listed under their belt of projects they've worked on. So it's not all shocking to me that they thought that Zelda was the guy in the funny green suit with the funny green hat, but I'm sorry guys, that's Link. Now, I agree that Hunter Schafer would be perfect for the role of Link, given the fact that he's perfected that twink body and already has a bit of elfish ear shape and the pointed face. But not great for Zelda because, well, Zelda has breasts and is a woman and doesn't have dangly bits. Key difference. Just a minor key difference. Also, Zelda is tall. Taller than Link is. And while Hunter's not a bad height at 5'10", I don't understand how somebody named Hunter could be right for the role of Zelda. Maybe if it was Hunter Schafer, we might have a point. But before we go any further, like, subscribe, and let's get into this. Rumor, Nintendo and Sony eye male actor to play Princess Zelda in the Legend of Zelda film, written by Fanapulse by John F. Trent. A new rumor claims that Nintendo is looking at male actor Hunter Schafer to play Princess Zelda in its Legend of Zelda film. And there we see Zelda with her Master Sword. Only problem is I assume that Hunter's isn't nearly as long. The latest rumor comes from scooper Daniel Richmond with the Screen Time reporting Hunter Schafer is reportedly being eyed to play Princess Zelda in the live-action Legend of Zelda film via Daniel RPK. Now, taking a look at this channel, looks like they are loosely tied with Dextero, another information news site, and it looks like the person who put out the article here is actually, in fact, pro Hunter Schafer playing Zelda. So let's see maybe some of the reasons why they think it'd be a good idea, because I guarantee you, it's not. And the only reason they could substantiate is he did one good scene in Euphoria. Lovely evidence as to why Hunter Schafer should play Zelda. Schafer is a man who pretends to be a woman. He's appeared in HBO's Euphoria show, as well as the most recent The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes film, and he's expected to play a part in the upcoming Blade Runner 2099 TV miniseries. The actor made headlines in February after he melted down after the United States government identified him as a male on his passport. I'm sorry about reality. He said, I don't give a fuck that they put an M on my passport. It doesn't change really anything about me or my transness. However, it does make life a little harder. I'm sorry that science makes your life a little bit harder. I agree, it makes mine harder too, because it means I can't be any taller. But based on that logic, if you need your documents to agree with what you're pretending to be, then I guess you can't play Zelda at all, since no document will ever identify you as a Hylian. From there, Schafer declared, this is getting very long, but I just want to say trans people are beautiful. I'd like to see the percentage on that, because according to every single website that exists, it seems to disagree with you on that one. We're never going to stop existing. I'm never going to stop being trans. A letter and a passport can't change that, and fuck this administration. Well, yeah, Hunter, the letter doesn't change that. The point of the letter is to show what you biologically are. I can identify as 7 feet tall, and it doesn't change the fact that my driver's license says 5'10". No matter how much I plead the government, nothing will change that. That's called fact. His follow-up to that statement was, I don't really have an answer about what to do about this, but I feel it was important to share. This is real. Maybe what you should do is shut the fuck up and learn to grow up and deal with the fact that reality has its rules and society has its rules. And if you're going to live in an alternate rule set, you have to follow the consequences that come with that rule set. You didn't have to do what you did to your body. You didn't have to do any of that, and this is simply what follows through. And in the same vein, by choosing to be a transgender actress, you are also having to deal with the consequences of having very limited cisgendered roles being offered to you, because I'm sorry, but you don't really look much like a woman. You look like a 13-year-old boy, and there's not a whole lot you can do to change that. Now, what's a little confusing is the fact that this movie is reportedly being produced by Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto, Sony Pictures and Arad Productions chairman Avi Arad. The script is being written by Derek Connolly. Connolly is credited with work on Kong Skull Island, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Domination, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I just know when I see a writer who wrote Kong, Jurassic World, I just think the perfect role for you would be a high fantasy series focused on the world of Legend of Zelda. A series with a complex timeline, multiple different variations of the characters, and multiple different storylines that you could all follow through with. Also a decent habit of having different levels of story throughout. I can totally trust somebody who's known for making monster movies to go ahead and make a movie about a fantasy world and about elves and non-monstrous things. It's gonna be really awkward when King Kong shows up to fight Link. This isn't supposed to be a Smash Bros. Movie. I don't understand what any of your experience has to do writing this kind of movie. Your resume simply does not substantiate it. And even more confusing than that is that the director's credits are in the first Maze Runner movie and Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. I assume that's the only credit since that's what Phantom Pulse provides, so let's double check that. Oh no, he also did the 2 sequels to Maze Runner, and that's it. He did the 3 Maze Runner movies and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, with not a single movie cracking above a 7 on IMDb. Ignoring the Hunter Schafer bullshit, this is significantly worse. The fact that they're getting people with very little experience and very little skill on top of that experience to come and do these movies is a massive red flag. It tells me there's going to be a lot of studio interference, which means that the creator will have very little control, just do whatever the studio tells them to do, and it likely means we're going to get a bastardized product. This is the exact kind of mentality that's being used when it comes to making Marvel movies. Get people with very little experience to do the movie, so they can be the fall guy if the movie fails, and the studio walks away scot-free, while these creatives have no creative control. Now, the director Ball spoke to Variety about the opportunity back in summer 2023. He envisions it as this awesome fantasy adventure movie that isn't like Lord of the Rings. It's its own thing. I've always said I would love to see a live-action Miyazaki. That wonder and whimsy that he brings to things, I would love to see something like that. Well, it'd be very cool to get something like Legend of Zelda in a Miyazaki style. Live action and Miyazaki tend to not mix. That's why it doesn't exist. Miyazaki romanticizes the real world by making it look better than it does. And sure, you could probably find a way to do something like that with film, but that's also not something you realistically should be doing on a Zelda film per se. In fact, the only Legend of Zelda game that could even substantiate a Miyazaki-style movie would have to be Breath of the Wild based on the mechanics involved, because it's the only one that involves traveling through masses of nature, consistently large, momentous beasts, and of course, cooking, because find me a single Hayao Miyazaki movie that doesn't focus on some beautiful cooking. It's going to be awesome, Ball continued. My whole life has led up to this moment. I grew up on Zelda, and it is the most important property, I think. That's untapped IP, if you will. So we very much are working hard to do something. We're not just trying to do it because we can. We want to make something really special. And of course, that's all they see it as. The Legend of Zelda is just an IP. That's all it is. That's all it ever will be to these people. They don't care about the story. They don't care about the fandoms. They just care that it's an IP that hasn't been, well, used like Schafer probably has been. And there's only one way that I'd even stand for a Legend of Zelda movie, if they just retold the greatest Legend of Zelda story, Spirit Tracks, of course. And of course, that one would be another one Schafer's perfect for, because I'm sure Schafer has plenty of experience around trains. Now, the movie was originally announced by series creator Miyamoto. He said, I have been working on the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda for many years now with Avi Arad, who has produced many mega-hit films. I've asked Avi-san to produce this film with me, and we have now officially started the development of the film with Nintendo itself heavily involved in the production. It will take time until its completion, but I hope you look forward to seeing it. I've never heard of this guy, so let's take a look at some of the things that he's produced. Craven, Venom, Borderlands, 97, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Morbius, Uncharted, Spider-Man No Way Home, Venom Let There Be Carnage, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Tarzan and Jane, Venom, Homecoming, Ghost in the Shell. I'm seeing not a whole lot of valuable things. Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, Kong, King of the Apes, Airbound, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, looks like an animated series, The Bratz live-action movie. This guy's catalog is bloated, but really poor, with a couple of really high-end comic book or high-received comic book movies, depending on how you view them, and it's just a good number of things in general, mostly comics related, but most of it is very poorly received. I don't have faith in somebody like this, where the highest score I've seen is on an MCU movie of all places. In fact, he's done very little production that isn't based on a Marvel property, with some of them being just like Uncharted and Borderlands, which are of course both pretty big failures. This is not the kind of platform that gives me any kind of hope for the future of anything, let alone Legend of Zelda. And of course, the movie is expected to release in just under 2 years, though, given where they are in production, it's questionable if they'll make that. Of course, Legend of Zelda is the kind of game property that would be prime for making a movie series on, or a TV series, or any of the above. Of course, they've already had one excellent TV show based on the game, but they could certainly do more. There's plenty of stories to tell in the Legend of Zelda universe, from the manga, to the various games, from Phantom Hourglass, to Spirit Tracks, to Breath of the Wild. All of these games you can tell stories from. You can make your own story based on the characters. After all, the lore of Legend of Zelda is simply that both Zelda and Link reincarnate throughout the ages to fight Ganondorf or other forms of the darkness. So there's plenty you can do there. But these people, they can't do it right. They don't have the ability to do it justice, nor do they have the desire or will. And of course, this Hunter Schafer rumor could be complete bullshit. It doesn't matter. It could not matter less if this Hunter Schafer rumor was bullshit, because it still does not provide me any kind of hope that they'll do anything right. They could choose the best cast in the world, and I still don't trust the team that they have shown us to make this kind of movie. Yeah, Miyamoto is there, but Miyamoto doesn't make movies. Now, does he? He sells video games. And then sure, the one guy deifies Miyazaki, which he should, everybody should, but that doesn't mean he knows how to create that kind of story, and I guarantee you that he most certainly does not. But honestly, I've just got one word for the studios. Please, for the love of God, put Hunter in this movie. Make Hunter Zelda, I beg of you. Please, I want to see you spend $400 million on this movie, and I want you to put Hunter in it, and I want to see what the box office does, because I guarantee you the rest of the world will not stand for it. By putting a transvestite in the main character role, you are immediately cutting yourself off from multiple box office positions, and of course you're going to alienate half of the Western audience anyway, who opposes this kind of blatant virtue signaling, because I guarantee you there are far better people than Hunter for either of these roles. And after all, you guys are the party who always support you that you have to be exactly like the person you're playing, so how could you justify it anyway? But hey, it could always be worse. They could just do Tom Holland and Zendaya. Of course, I don't know who'd play who, but that's pretty much what I've got. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this, and I will see you guys on the next one.